The ascent of the bench press is a very natural movement, and it's not too complicated. You've got a great setup, you've descended appropriately, and now you need to drive the bar and press it back up. It's easy to overcomplicate. Usually the best bar path is going to be the one that is most natural for you. As long as you follow the envelope of what we need to do on the setup and the descent, you are going to create the proper body position and proper leverages for your bar to drive the bar back up without having to overthink too many things. When it comes time to drive that bar, you really should be thinking back to that compressed spring. So as that bar is coming down, you're creating more and more and more tension into that spring to where you've touched, and that spring has maximal tension in it and it's ready to explode. So on the ascent, when you go to press, that's when you get to release that spring. And if you've built yourself a great solid arch, you don't have much of the weight of your butt on the bench, and most of that support is created through your legs and your feet to the ground. Well, that's when you use that leg drive to initiate the press. You drive with your legs, and you need to fine tune it over time to make sure you can hammer your leg drive as strong as possible, but keep your butt in contact with the bench. So you release that spring, you explode it, you use leg drive to launch it off your chest, and you press. And while you're pressing, you want to make sure you're following the critical path of keeping the bar, your wrist, and your elbow all stacked. As you're pressing, you don't want to start to let it roll either one way or another. The bar has to stay stacked over the elbow and the wrist. And as you get to your sticking point, you want to make sure your shoulders are staying retracted and packed, and that you're not rounding them as you finally press. I see two common mistakes in the ascent of the bench press. And the first one would be allowing the shoulders to round forward. So again, you've worked so hard on your setup, protecting your shoulders, getting retracted like this. And as soon as the bench starts to get heavy or towards the lockout, people let that go and use their shoulders to finish pressing like that. That's not what we want to do. Keep them packed and retract. The second most common mistake I see on the ascent is in training on sets with multiple reps. Lifters generally start to feel the groove of when it's hard and when it's easy. And on these multiple rep sets, they start to coast through the easy part. So they'll push hard where it's hard, and then they start to coast through. You don't want to get in the habit of that. You want to get in the habit of pushing hard the entire range of motion.